Sheri Jo Elliott went to a bus stop in 1983 and never came home. Today, her family finally knows the name of the monster in the shadows. After 43 years, the kidnapping and murder of 16-year-old Sheri Jo Elliott was officially declared solved in April 2026. The breakthrough came through advanced forensic genetic genealogy, providing closure to a case that had been cold since 1983. Here is the news footage of this story.
Good evening. Tonight, the major breakthrough in a cold case after a Flint teenager's homicide went unsolved for decades. But now the family of Sheri Jo Elliott finally has answers as to what happened to their loved one. Her body was found in a rural Saginaw County ditch in November of 1983. And Terry, how did police eventually identify a suspect?
Well, Angie, using a DNA analysis and forensic genetic genealogy, police were able to identify a potential suspect in the murder and sexual assault of 16-year-old Sheri Jo Elliott. The suspect did not voluntarily give up a DNA sample, but then he took his own life.
She was on her way to school.
16-year-old Sheri Jo Elliott lived on Seneca in Flint in the fall of 1983. She vanished on her way to school on November 16th. She was last seen not far away in the Dartmouth and Clio Roads area. 4 days later, her partially clothed body was found along this rural Saginaw County road in Blumfield Township. She had been shot 4 times and she was sexually assaulted. Her family was heartbroken.
I'm just grateful that they found her, because if they hadn't found her, I wouldn't be able to survive. Not knowing where she was, if she's being harmed, I wouldn't be able to survive that.
But for Sheri Jo's mom, Joyce Schultz, the next 4 decades, not knowing who did this to her only child, were difficult as well.
It's just devastating. It's been a long, hard road.
She says there were false leads, and early in the investigation, police suspected her husband, Robert Schultz, Sheri Jo's stepfather.
And they was always trying to say it was my husband, and he would never hurt a child, ever. And so I wish he was here.
Robert Schultz died last year not knowing who killed his stepchild. The suspect did leave DNA, and with new technology, forensic genetic genealogy, Michigan State Police cold case detectives were able to identify a potential suspect, 75-year-old Roni Collins of Grand Blanc. Collins did not voluntarily give up a DNA sample, but in January, he took his own life. The DNA gathered at the autopsy matched the DNA recovered from Elliott's body.
You feel that's pretty much an admission of guilt?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then the DNA proved that he did do it. I'm glad he's dead. But I'm still processing all of this.
Nearly 43 years later, Sheri Jo Elliott's family has closure. Her mom has this message for other families still waiting for their closure in unsolved homicide cases.
There's still hope, it's not going to change anything in my life. I still miss her every day. And, I will for the rest of my life. And, but it's just something you never, ever get over. No parent does.
I could not reach Roni Collins' family for comment. Investigators do not believe there was any connection between Collins and Sheri Jo Elliott, indicating this was a random crime. Police say at this time Collins is not connected to any other criminal cases.